Greetings, everyone. This is Zach, Director of Religious Education at 4th U, and this is an example of the kind of textual analysis videos we're going to be doing and utilizing for this experience this semester. And when I say textual analysis, I don't mean some extremely rigorous exegetical dive into the text, but I do mean looking a little more closely, doing a little more active reading than we normally do. And so I'm gonna take us through some of that. We're gonna start here with the front page. The title is always a good place to start. The text we're reading together this semester is Nature as Sacred Ground, a Metaphysics for Religious Naturalism by Donald Crosby. So we could spend an entire semester just on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words. Okay, Nature as Sacred Ground, a Metaphysics for Religious Naturalism. Now, when I look at this, Nature as Sacred Ground, I think I kind of get what's going on there, but when I look closer at a Metaphysics for Religious Naturalism, I might ask myself, what exactly do those terms mean, and what do those terms mean when put together, right? So what does metaphysics mean? What is religion? What is naturalism? And then what is a metaphysics for religious naturalism? So that's what we're going to talk about for just a little bit, and this is an example of what we're going to do, dive further into as we move through the text. And then the next time I make this kind of video, we're going to be looking at the preface, and I'll be sending that out to you next week because our experience begins next Thursday, February 6th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. And we're going to be moving through some introductory stuff and then looking closely at the preface. And I just want you to look really quickly. When you read a philosophy book, and that's what this is a philosophy of religion book, more on that later, then it really takes marking up, right? So marking up your text, especially a philosophy text, is very helpful because it helps you engage with the phrases and paragraphs and ideas that you are reading and possibly struggling with. Right, so anytime you can engage the text physically with your highlighter, with your pen, your pencil, be marked up like this, and not just marking up the text itself, but make some notes, ask some questions, summarize different parts. I have a pretty standard way that I do things: stars, 3 lines, underlined, double underlined. Now, you'll also notice that when we get to the Thursday night experiences or classes, whatever you want to call them, that I'm going to probably be really focusing on the green underlined parts of the text. So those are the things I'm going to go over in a little more detail in these videos before we meet on Thursdays, just so you have a chance to dive in a little bit before we get to class time. But for now, let's check this out. So Nature as Sacred Ground, a Metaphysics for Religious Naturalism. Okay, so let's get to know some of these terms that are going to be really important for us as we work through this text together. So a metaphysics for religious naturalism, metaphysics, religion, and naturalism. Let's start with religion. Forgive me because my handwriting is very bad. Religion is a very complicated word, and scholars of religion really have no idea how to define religion. Religion, for us, is going to be a system of beliefs, practices, and worldviews, right? So beliefs, practices, and worldviews that relate humanity, that's us, to the sacred, the divine, or ultimate meaning. Beliefs, worldviews, ultimate meaning. Meaning, that's a big one. Notice how I mentioned the divine in there. Religion is very often centered around a deity or deities, God or gods, and that's okay. But some religions, like Unitarian Universalism, which is a religion, center around spiritual practices, ethical principles, and we'll just say communal values, because that is very important for Unitarian Universalists. So the definition of religion is still beliefs and worldviews that help us distinguish and live out ultimate meaning in the world. And a lot of the times religions can be focused around deities or a deity or God or gods, but that doesn't have to be the case. So like Unitarian Universalism, that encompasses people who both are atheists, who are theists, who are pantheists, who are agnostic. All these different types of folks are gathered together in Unitarian Universalism, which I think is a beautiful thing. And, we really focus on spiritual practices, ethical principles, and communal values. And again, it's really ethics, ritual, symbols, etc., that are helping us explain the nature of what it means to be human and what we are all doing here. So that's important. Religion has a big job. So the next big word, and this is a really scary word for some people, is metaphysics. And we're going to talk about that in contrast to physics, because this is an important contrast. And both these terms we're going to talk about both these things as we walk through the text. So first, physics. Physics is the scientific study of matter, space, time, energy. And physicists do this using empirical observation and experiments. Now, I know this, quite a bit about this, because I'm married to a physicist. So this is true. Matter, space, time, and energy, that's what physicists do. They do that by empirical observation, what they can view and discern with their senses. And they do experiments, a lot of experiments. And physics is really concerned with understanding natural laws and understanding physical phenomena. So that's physics. Now, metaphysics, related to physics, but a little different. So it's a branch of philosophy, another word that freaks people out, but philosophy just means, wisdom, Sophia, and philo is the love of wisdom. So metaphysics is a branch of philosophy and explores the fundamental, this is a very important word, fundamental nature of reality. Now, you might say, Zach, that sounds a lot like what physics is doing, and you're kind of right. But metaphysics goes one step further, because it's not just the nature of reality. Philosophers who specialize in metaphysics, they are looking beyond. They're thinking beyond empirical observation. So beyond empirical observation. And this is sometimes where it can get a little bit strange, a little bit woo-woo. So the word metaphysics, a lot of the times, is associated with some New Age things or astrology or things like that. And I'm not saying anything bad about those things. Those topics and subjects and ways of thinking about life and existence are important for a lot of people. But that's not the kind of metaphysics that we're doing in this class, in this experience. So this kind of metaphysics is thinking really deeply about concepts such as existence, identity, causality, the nature of time and space, consciousness, and even God. Metaphysics is going to take these topics very seriously because we experience existence and identity and causality, and we have questions about the nature of time and space, and there is obviously human consciousness, and 95% of the world believes in God. So all these things, these topics are not observable or are not able to be studied by physics. So then that leaves metaphysics as the vocational philosophical category where these topics, existence, identity, causality, nature of space and time, consciousness, God, and so many other things, this is where these topics and concepts get academic attention. So religion, metaphysics. Don't worry, this is just to get you used to what these kind of videos are going to be and to work our way through the subtitle of this book just a little. So now we want to move on to naturalism. Right, so naturalism, then we'll see what is a metaphysics of religious naturalism. So naturalism, it's a philosophical position that everything that exists can be explained in terms of natural causes and laws. So natural causes, laws, no need for supernatural explanations. So we're bracketing the supernatural, and we're bracketing any kind of transcendent deity, any kind of transcendent agency that anything beyond us might have within our lives. So for the naturalist, reality consists solely of what can be studied through science and reason. Again, a rejection of the supernatural. That's naturalism. So you might be asking, that sounds a lot like physics. So physics and naturalism should really go together really well, and that's true, they do. But Crosby is moving us into a metaphysics of religious naturalism. So a metaphysics of religious naturalism. And the best way, I think, to define this is the metaphysics of religious naturalism is a framework that seeks to understand the ultimate nature of reality, right? So the ultimate nature of reality, metaphysics, through a naturalistic lens while maintaining a deep sense of meaning, reverence, and spirituality. So the question is, can this be done? Can Crosby provide a metaphysics of religious naturalism? And who cares? Why is something like a metaphysics of religious naturalism important for people who are not philosophers or ministers, but just faithful Unitarian Universalists Who cares? Why does this matter? This is a great question. So I think it's safe to say that Unitarian Universalists are very committed to reason, spirituality, and meaning making in pluralistic, non-dogmatic contexts and pluralistic and non-dogmatic ways, right? So reason, spirituality, meaning making in a pluralistic, non-dogmatic approach. That kind of approach, I think, should be important for Unitarian Universalists. Those of us who have been Unitarian Universalists for some time, and people who are starting to move slowly out of more traditional conservative ways of being religious in the world into more progressive liberal ways. And this, I think, a Metaphysics for Religious Naturalism offers a very good alternative that, as a congregation, we can learn about this alternative, be ready to talk to people about that when they come and visit our society, our church, and they have questions. They have questions about what can Unitarian Universalism be for me as a person who is very much religiously wired, so to speak, but who no longer wants to adhere to strict traditional ways of thinking about religion. So again, I think we can think about a metaphysics of religious naturalism as a framework that helps us to understand ultimate reality, metaphysics, through a naturalistic lens, naturalism, while maintaining a deep sense of meaning, reverence, and spirituality, religion. So, a framework that seeks to understand the ultimate nature of reality through a naturalistic lens while maintaining a deep sense of meaning, reverence, and spirituality. That's where we'll stop for today, friends. And I hope you've got a good sense of what these dives into the text will be. And all this is to prep us for having a discussion on Thursday nights. All right, folks, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.